Be strong.
Alrighty, well, a good morning and a happy Monday morning. It is indeed. Welcome to the TNC Sports Talk YouTube channel. Thank you guys for tuning in. Got 2 hours coming your way here from 9 a.m. to 11 from the Throw-In with Justin. So sit tight, grab a seat, grab a coffee as you wake up on a Monday morning in a full event of sports. And and we'll give you all the information that you need to know around town locally, with all the local teams, Cincinnati, Ohio State, Kentucky, and all those wins and losses, some high school football updates. And, today our main focus is let's get you guys ready for the postseason, because a lot has unraveled over the weekend, and we expected a lot to unravel over the weekend. Obviously the American League is all set up and ready to go, in a sense that, hey, we only need to figure out just who's in what position, right? Is in the American League. You got all 6 teams. You got the Astros, the Yankees, the Guardians, and then you got the Blue Jays, the Mariners, and the Tampa Bay Rays all in the wild card. And then it just determines, all right, what position. Well, Toronto's up in, has 4 games lead over the Braves, who are in the 3rd position. So it's all about sitting now, right? Because come this Friday, the top wild card in the American League is going to have the home field advantage in their 3-game series, and then the other 2 is going to be on the road. One of them is going to be facing the Blue Jays, and the other one's going to be going over to Cleveland. So 3 games left, and we got to figure that stuff out. Okay, National League. If you guys didn't get a chance to tune in and listen to the broadcast that I provided both Saturday and Sunday night, it was an epic game. It was postseason atmosphere. Every pitch felt was, like everyone was on the edge of their seat. And the Mets, they came in, they handled business. Last series of the home stands, last series at home in the season, and they went on. They beat the Mets 3 games. They swept the Mets in the final home stands, putting themselves up 2 games above the New York Mets. And now the magic number for the Braves is just 1, as the Braves head into Miami for 3 games and the Mets go home for Washington. The Mets are going to have to be flawless. And so, we talked about this, throughout the program, but, it's going to come down to, whoever won last night has a really good foot in the door at winning the National League East. And, coming into the weekend, the Mets had a 1-game lead. The Braves won 5-2 on Friday night. Couple of dingers, a home run from Matt Olson. And listen, Matt Olson had a career of a series. 3 consecutive home runs, or 3 home run in each 3 consecutive games, put it that way. And the Braves go on. So they dumped into Saturday night, got a chance to broadcast that game here, where the Braves won 4-2. That one I think was probably more entertaining, really a better pitcher duel. And then you head into Sunday night, where the Braves won 5-3, and the Braves just look amazing. The Mets, on the other hand, the pitching was all right. I mean, Max Scherzer had a solid outing. Chris Bassett obviously didn't pitch he didn't get out of the 3 innings out there. So pitch. I think both teams have some issues that they have to worry about. Charlie Morton didn't look as the same Charlie Morton that we saw last postseason. And you have to remember when we get into the postseason that things are going to look very, very different. We get into the postseason now. Pitchers, you're gonna come down from having a 5-man rotation to maybe a 4, if not 3-man rotation, right? So, I mean, right now, currently the standing sits as beholds. The Dodgers, incredible 110 wins on the season. Just a mind-boggling how long the Dodgers have been a franchise, and to see the Dodgers just still be able to accomplish new things. They've dominated along with the Yankees for such a long period of time in baseball history, and to see the Dodgers win 110 games, and this is all new for the Dodgers. I mean, you would think that they'd make a statement to go back to the World Series and win it all. And I don't know how many people have the Dodgers in favor, and they don't just seem to whenever just shut down and to really collapse and to take a step back. So, I mean, who's going to stop the Dodgers? And you got right now the Braves sitting on top, and then you got the St. Louis Cardinals. You got the Mets, who are if now this is the way it comes down for the East. If for some reason, if the Braves lose, let's say the Braves go 1-2 in Miami, hypothetically, and Washington or New York sweeps the Nationals, the Braves and the Mets will sit on a tiebreaker. Now, there's no 163 games this year, so how it's going to go down is that last night's game was the tiebreaker. Right before last night's game, the Braves and the Mets came in. They were 9-9, all necked up in division league play, and the Braves won. So now they lead 10-9 against the Mets throughout the season. And if it comes for some reason, all right, if it comes down to, I don't know, I say if it comes down to a tie series by the end of the season, the Braves will have the upper advantage. Right now, and we'll dive more into that. So we'll talk about some Major League Baseball. Man, I think a lot of people, I've said this, are we ready for the red season just to get done and over with and move forward? I told you guys coming into the beginning of the season, the one thing I absolutely wanted to avoid was losing 100 games. I don't think it was too much to ask to go into Chicago and at least take 1 of 2, if not 2 of 3. And it looks like the Reds don't even show up to Wrigley Field. Now they come home for 3 games against Chicago to wrap up the season. All right, they play tonight, they play tomorrow, and then they play Wednesday. And then the season is done with. It's over with. Right? At least until next year. And people are making their cases, in the postseason, in the regular season, a couple of great outings is needed. And so you need to, I think if you're the Reds, you need to come away with trying to have a 3-game homestands to finish off the season and finish strong. All right, show the fans that you're not laying over backwards, that you're not checked out for the season. Show the fans, just the same reason why to put a little bit of faith into 2023 after everything that you've been through this year. After everything that you've gone through with management, front office degrading you, them unloading your entire roster, getting rid of, not re-signing Nick Castellanos, getting rid of Sonny Gray, trading Luis Castillo, really just gutting the heart of the team. There has to be a sense of urgency in the last 3 games of the season to come in to your home stadium and try to take the series, if not sweep the Chicago Cubs. Not very happy with those Reds out there right now. And you're ready. It's kind of more like a vomit feeling. Just the longer you see this go on. So 3 more games will get you ready for tonight's game. And listen, a lot going on in the NFL. Okay, and listen, I think here's what devastates me. Okay, we as of this morning, we should have went in and we should have went in and been happy that the Bengals beat the Dolphins on Thursday night. Okay. On top of that, we should come in Monday morning and this morning and be just to have a smile on our face, because the Cleveland Browns, the Baltimore Ravens, and the Pittsburgh Steelers all lost their game yesterday. So hey, that kind of gives us a little push in the push in the division. We should all be excited. We should all be happy for how the weekend turned out in the AFC North. But I still think a lot of people are back and dated back to everything that's happened Thursday night with Tua Tagovailoa. And listen, I gave you my raw thoughts on Friday morning. I told you just how I felt about the situation. I had, this was a situation that you'll learn a little bit about it. Last week, wasn't really too much, in my opinion, on the outskirts, me on the outside looking in. It wasn't something that I would have sat down and really investigated in. But after hearing other, people talk about it and weigh in their thoughts, there's a big frustration going around in the NFL league about what the hell are they doing. I mean, it's one thing to understand in the Bills, against the Bills, right? It's one thing for Tua to go down, get taken out, claiming that it's a back issue, and then be cleared for the rest of the game. All right, I don't even know why it comes down to that, but it's one thing for the initial game. But come Monday morning last week, there should have been a bigger medical evaluation over Tua. And I get it. There's a lot going on for the Dolphins season. He's having an MVP career to be written down in history. There's a lot that is for a reason to come play off of a short week. And if he's on concussion protocol, he's missing the next week. He ain't getting signed off. But I think that the statement that has to be made is that there's the questions of if he should have played in general at all. So there's a lot of there's a as we sit here on a Monday morning, first Monday of October, and we should be happy for the Bengals winning and for the rest of the AFC North losing. There's a little bit of still frustration, in my opinion. Okay, there's a reason why he shouldn't have played. Now this is just a terrible image of the NFL. This is a terrible image of the Miami Dolphins. And now moving forward, this could have been a situation where, all right, Tua's going to come back in about 2-3 weeks, and he's going to be able to, return to normal duties. Well, now the way it looks like, and I don't know, I'm going to be skeptic. I'm going to be paying attention to this, but just who in the right minds and what doctor is going to sign off on Tua's playing football ever again? I think that's I think that's going to be an issue statement, and then to come to hear the reports, and we'll talk about it a little bit later, that JJ Watt returned to the field after getting his AFib appointment and getting his heart shark back in the rhythm earlier last week. And so you kind of just want, I mean, so you question if he should have been on the field on Sunday. So there's, I don't know, right now, over this past week, it doesn't look good. I mean, you're setting the prime example to college players who's about to go up to the NFL in the year or two. You're showing the image to high school football players. Okay, you're showing the way that you operate things out of Pop Warner football. On my Facebook page, you see a lot of little Pop Warner footballs at these fields, and I used to go. My brother used to play little Pop Warner football, and he used to go every Saturday mornings after high school football games. It'd be a late night, and you just go dive into 9 o'clock in the morning. You got the fields all day, and it's one of those things where it's like enough football's enough, because then you get college in the mix, and then you get the NFL on Sundays, and I was like, all right, enough football there. But I mean, this is a prime example of showing, hey, do you really want your kids going through this? I mean, if Tua, do you really want? I mean, even if, as a parent, as a sibling, just as a human being, I know that the game is entertaining, and I understand these players, they battle through left and right, in and out. They battle hard every day. They'll play with broken hands and broken fingers and torn ligaments, and it's and for what, a championship? They make all this money, and they go out and they play for the entertainment of the sport, for the entertainment of the fans, and for personal reasons. And I mean, who would love to sit down? I mean, I think growing up, you kind of grow up and you like, what do you want to do with yourself? Once you want to be a professional athlete, well, and Tua's career, and here's the way I see it. I don't know how long Tua's career is going to be from now on, but when you receive neurical brain damage to seize up the way he did last Thursday, I think it really just comes to a clear perspective of, hey, football, playing this sport can cause injuries to the brain, to the back, to the to the body parts each and every time you go out there, and it's a big risk factor. So, like I said, we'll talk about the AFC moving forward. We'll try to get back on the right minds, but still sitting here a little salty after what happened and took place last Thursday against the Dolphins. And like I said, we should be celebrating. We should be starting to get down into business for the week number 5. And in week number 5, there's a lot of questions out there that needs to be answered. Okay, one of the biggest ones is that the Cowboys are going to face the Rams, and Cooper Rush, after winning yesterday's game, now put the Cowboys in a real critical situation of which quarterback they should go to. Do they go to Cooper? Does Cooper Rush continue his element of hot streak and go into LA and face the Rams, or do you put Dak Prescott back out there? And that's an answer. That's a question that needs to be answered. So we'll talk about all of that. We'll get you guys ready for the Reds and Cubs this week. We'll get you ready for Monday Night Football. The Rams taking on the San Francisco 49ers. I'm excited about them. We'll talk a little bit about college football. Cincinnati beat Tulsa back on Saturday. Ohio State, beat Rutgers 40-10. A couple disappointment games. Kentucky losing to Ole Miss 19-22. Also, Louisville dropping by 1 point to Boston College, man. So we'll talk a little bit about that. Also, let's not forget, we got Monday Night Raw coming up tonight. So we are just now on the road, 1 week away, coming up this weekend, October 8th. All right, you have the Extreme Rules for WWE's pay-per-view. So we'll dive into that as the final matches are set. Who should main event Extreme Rules this weekend? We'll talk about all of that. So we're just getting warmed up here on a Monday morning. Thank you guys for tuning in to the Throne with Justin. hit that like, share, and subscribe button. Don't forget to press those notifications and check us out on every audio platform there is. We'll take a break. We'll step right back and continue our show. You guys are listening to the Throw In with Justin here on the TNC Sports Talk YouTube channel.
So the Cubs now have the bases loaded here in the bottom of the first inning. No one out, and the cleanup man, Ian, has to up. Here's the 3-2. Ball four up high. Cubs take the lead. McKinstry comes home, half heads to first. 1-0 Cubs. Still no one out. Bases loaded, and Nico Horner at the plate, hitting at .282 with 9 home runs and 52 RBIs.
Nico hits a ground ball to first. Solano goes to second. They get one, and that's all. A run scores. Cubs lead 2-0. A hustling Horner beats the relay. He gets his 53rd run batted in.
Men at the corners just one away. Brandmil Reyes at the plate.
Reyes hits a base hit to left. Coming in to score on the play is Suzuki. Cubs lead 3-0.
This will be just the second time that the 32-year-old rookie Fernando Cruz inherits a bases-loaded jam.
So 2 down, and Nelson Velasquez, the number 9 hitter, at the plate.
Line to left. It's going to drive in a couple. Over to backhand the ball is Fairchild. Racing to third is Higgins. On a 2-run double for Nelson Velasquez, and the Cubs lead 5-0.
So now the Cubs have men at second and third and just one away here in the last of the fourth.
Nico Horner with an RBI opportunity, and the 2-2. In the air to left, tagging is Suzuki. The catch by Fairchild. Here comes Seiya. The throw to the plate, not in time. Sack fly, Nico Horner. Suzuki scores. Cubs lead by half a dozen.
Mike Ciani leading things off against the new Cub right-hander, Mark Leiter Jr., working from the first base side of the rubber.
Base hit up the middle for Ciani, and he got that split finger / changeup from Leiter, and he took it right back up the box. And that was a nice piece of hitting.
Milwaukee, 0-0. Bounce to Bodie. Gets the sure thing at first. Probably a good decision in a game in which you lead by 6. Always get 1.
2 down, and here's Jonathan India. There's a jam shot into right field. That's a base hit. Ciani can walk to the plate because he walks pretty fast. 6-1 ball game. India has the first Reds RBI.
Men at second and third with 2 away here in the last of the set. It'll bring up Nelson Velasquez.
The 1-0 to Velasquez. In the air to right, pretty well hit. Back goes Friedel back near the fence, and that ball is going to be off the vines. 2 runs will score. Velasquez motoring to third. He's got a 2-run triple, and the Cubs lead it 8-1. It just missed leaving the yard. Friedel didn't realize how close he was to the vines, and the Cubs have their biggest lead of the day.
All righty. Well, that's the conclusion of yesterday's afternoon game. It was a tough series for a lot of these players. And, you kind of just ready for the season to end. In a sense, the Cubs fall yesterday 8-1 over the Reds fall 8-1 over the Cubs. Cubs now go into 73-86, third in the NL Central, and with the sweep, the Reds go to 60-99, just 1 game away for shy of 100. Now, last 3 games of the season, right? There's really nothing much to throw out there other than, hey, can you avoid 100 wins? You think about the 3-game series that we get ready for tonight, tomorrow, into Wednesday. And all right, so you kind of want to, the way I see it, the way that I'm approaching it, there's 3 things I'm looking at. 1, you want to beat, you don't want to lose 100 games. In order to do that, though, you have to sweep the Cubs at home. Now, I don't know if that's a possible thing, but if you got to take 2 out of 3 and at least lose 100 and not lose 101, or 102, then I guess you have to take that. The second thing, the Cincinnati Reds currently sit in fourth in the NL Central. And I'm just pulling it up here real quick, if my phone ever wants to load. But you're sitting at the same record as the Pittsburgh Pirates. And the Cincinnati Reds have lost 6, and the Pittsburgh Pirates have beat the St. Louis Cardinals yesterday in Sunday's throwdown. So number 2 for me is, please, for God bid, let's avoid, going to 5th place. What does that mean? Is that that St. Louis is going to be in the postseason. You know that they're playing on Friday. And so the last thing you want to do is that, you have to come into this series where thinking that, hey, the Cardinals are going to probably be resting a lot of their starters, at least by Tuesday, Wednesday, giving the Pirates an opportunity to finish off the season strong. So you got to always be one above the Pirates right now. It would be more devastating to lose to the Pirates and to lose to the Cubs and then drop down to the 5th in the NL Central. So that's number 2. And then number 3, you got to, for me, number 3 is I want to show the Reds organization, the front office, just why or where, hey, let's finish off the season strong. The season hasn't been great. That's given. The Reds are just down at the bottom, probably one of the, top 10 worst records of baseball this season. And, listen, it's the Reds have been gutted, right? No Sonny Gray, trading Luis Castillo, Tyler Naquin. There was, trading Brandon Drury throughout the season. The owners came out and said, hey, you guys, to the fans, that this is the Reds team that we put on the field, whether you like it or not. I don't care. I don't care if the players like it. I don't care if the fans like it. This is baseball in Cincinnati. There's history, and you guys go into the game regardless. And God forbid you could actually protest because it's Major League Baseball. So, there's just those are my 3 things, right? Avoid 100 wins, which I think that's not going to happen. All right, they're going to lose 100 games, and if you're asking me, they'll be losing tonight. All right, avoid last place because you've been in last place all season, and I know that's probably just, hey, this is this is just how the Reds are, but that shouldn't change how. How things are done. All right. Try to avoid last place. I think it's you could take that off for the better of the season. Right. And then also, hey, let's go into Cincinnati. Let's finish off the 3 games on a conclusive, streak and be happy about how the, season ended off. A lot of these younger guys like Dunn and Duggar, Anderson, all trying to look for something for next year, right? They're trying to figure something out, heading into next year, and just see where it goes. So if you're asking me, that's what I'm looking for into this week. Okay, the Reds kick off a 3-game series with the Cubs tonight. A little preview here. Hunter Green will be getting the nod for the Cubs, for the Reds. As a matter of fact, he's 4-13, 4.66 ERA with 156 strikeouts. We'd like to see him finish off a good outing. And that's the one thing I was talking about throughout the last couple games that I was calling with the Mets and Braves over the weekend. Let's have a couple good outings, right? I know that, the Braves and the Mets are going into the regular season, but we're going into the postseason. But, there's a lot of teams out there that are not going to the postseason. that, you would like to have them, hey, let's have a good outing here or there. And then you also have the right-handed pitcher Hayden Resniski, getting on the mound for the Chicago Cubs. 3-1, 2.33 ERA in 5 games. He started in 3 of them, pitched 27 innings, 27 strikeouts. Last game was on the 28th against the Phillies. He went 5 innings, 6 hits, 1 run, 2 walks, and 3 strikeouts to conclude that. So, hey, listen, there's a little bit of excitement, trying to find some sort of joist, ready for the season to get over, ready for the Reds to jump into the fall league. And one thing I'll tell you before a break here, the fall league, this is how it's going to play out. Okay, fall league is basically for minors and prospects to come out and show off their skills, kind of get an idea for what next year looks. It's only throughout the month of October, a little bit into November, but here's the rules. Okay, the rules that are going to be implemented next season for Major League Baseball, they're going to start playing those rules in the Arizona Fall League this year, just to get people acclimated and more tempered with the new rules and how the changes. So coming in at number 1 is the pitch clock. All right, it's a reduced games on an average by 26 minutes, hopefully. All right. Also, that was approved by the competition committee. It will be enforced. It will be the delivery of pitches, any breaks, and pitching changes. Get you a little bit more into those details later on. Defensive positioning. No more shifts will be played. Every infielder has to have at least the heel of their cleats be on the back end, not touching the grass. Also, they need to be placed before the inning, before the game, and not changing over. So no more extra men in the right field or left field. Larger bases to reduce players' injuries and collisions, create the distance between the bases to impact the success rate, hopefully for more stolen bases, from 15 inches to 18 inches. And then last, ABS changes, automatic balls and strikes. They're working on implementing that. A challenge system that's began in Florida State League in 2022, implemented on the experiment level at the Arizona Fall League for the catchers, have opportunities to challenge an umpire's balls and strikes called if they feel it is incorrect. So some new things are changing, coming out of play. So we'll look into that and start talking a little bit more about Arizona Fall League after the season concludes. All right, we're going to take a break because postseason is upon us here in the Major League Baseball league, and we're going to talk to you about who's made it over the weekend and how those playoff implications look like. We'll continue that here next on the TNC Sports Talk YouTube channel. I'd like to give a big shout out to StreamYard Studios, the proud home of the TNC Sports Talk YouTube channel. Check out, you guys can create your podcasts, YouTube videos, host virtual business meetings, and conduct interviews. Check out their free version today at StreamYard.com. Monday morning allergies and sore throat, probably because calling all those baseball games over the weekend really got intensified between the Mets and the Braves. Sold out atmosphere, and you could feel it with every pitch, with every at bat. It was as if they were playing their last. And listen, it was a good series that I got a chance to call. Hopefully we'll get a chance to call more during the postseason, as that kicks off this Friday. And this is how it works. It's simple. It's 3 games, okay, all at one location, okay, for 4 different and for 8 different teams. And so, it's going to be played Friday, Saturday, Sunday. If they come to it, they play Sunday. It's the best 2 out of 3, right? That's how it is. Simple. Then the divisional series will kick off on Tuesday of next week. And so we're in the playoff mode. And talking about being in the playoff mode, a couple of things happened over the weekend. Judge hitting more home runs. He's passing Roger Maris. He's going after the Triple Crown. It was making it difficult. The Dodgers, on the other hand, become, they are the first National League team to win 100 games since the 1909 Pirates. 94 of those 110 wins have come by multiple runs, passing the 1998 Yankees for the most such wins in MLB history. So that is another in stats history placed in. And then also you take a look at what, the excuse me, sorry. Trout passes all-time leader in home runs against the Mariners earlier this season, and now he's hit more home runs against the Rangers than any other player with his 44th career blast versus Texas, an 8-3 win on Sunday. And that's just it's another thing that you just add on to a historical season. Also the dynamic trio here between Adam Wainwright, take a look at Adam Wainwright, Yadier Molina, and Albert Pujols. It was a little bit, if you're watching or tuning into the Cardinals game yesterday, you kind of felt in the moment, and I thought it was very special how they did this, but I kind of felt like in the moment it was very emotional, that this is an ending of an era. You think a lot of these players who played growing up, and especially for the Cardinals dominating for 20 years. Now, there was injuries for both Molina and for both Wainwright towards the middle of their, midst of their career. Albert Pujols goes over to Anaheim to play for the Angels for about 10 years. They get a chance to come back home, surpasses the 700 marker home runs. And then this past Sunday against, last home game of the regular season against the Pirates, when Adam Wainwright came out of the ball game, both Yadier Molina and Albert Pujols walked off into the sunset with as well. So they are done at home. That's the last time you'll see them in a regular season. And they're looking for the postseason coming up this Friday. They'll have a chance to have it, hopefully advance against whoever team that they have to face, whether it is the Padres or Phillies. So, but yeah, that's what that was over the weekend. But a couple other things surpassed as we dive into those standings, because baseball has now has been much more clear. And I told you back on Wednesday that this is what, or back on last Friday, that this is now, over the weekend, we're going to see much more a clearer picture of what the postseason looks like. So let me start you off with the American League. We know the Astros are sitting at 104 wins. They're going to have the home field advantage in the American League. They're going to have the first round bye, and they're going to have the best record. Okay. Followed behind them is the 97-61 New York Yankees. All right. Now the Cleveland Guardians ain't mixing up. So it's the 1, 2, and 3 seed in the playoffs are the Astros, Yankees, and Guardians, which means come this Friday, the Cleveland Guardians are preparing for a home game against one of the 3 wildcard teams, right? So now what the Guardians can do is that they could take a step back these next 3 days against Kansas City. They get to breathe, rest their starters, not overwork themselves, not exert themselves in any way, mean, shape, or form as they get ready for Friday's game. Now, yeah, everybody's going to have Thursday off, but that doesn't mean that just because you have Thursday off, everyone's going to be well rested. So you got to play this just right, because if you take too much time off and you lose a momentum going into the postseason, that could really affect you. But knowing that you got to play the wild card round, you got to play one, you got to beat 2, you have to win a series in a wild card round. It's not one game and done. You don't really want to afford to drop the first game to your opponent, especially when you're the home team. Now, that's the only positive thing coming out of this is that, hey, the home team is going to be the home team for all 3 games. So Cleveland will have all 3 games at home. Excuse me. In the wild card, all right, we currently have Toronto, a 4-game lead above Tampa Bay, followed by a 1.5 lead with Seattle, and then Tampa Bay clinching the wild card spot. So all other teams have been eliminated. Okay, the Toronto Blue Jays sit at 90. They sit at 90 and 69. The Mariners sit at 87-71. And the Tampa Bay Rays sit at 86 and 73. So as of right now, we know that if Toronto loses all 3 of their games to Baltimore, and Seattle wins all 3 games against Detroit, that Seattle could have the presence of the number 4 seed, the runner-up in the American League wild card. All right. But as of and then at the other end, okay, if Seattle loses all 3 games to Detroit and Tampa Bay wins all 3 games to the Boston Red Sox, Tampa Bay could be sitting in the 5th seed. So as of today, in the American League, coming up this Friday, we have Tampa Bay. If it ended today, in which I certainly believe that the way that it goes, it's going to be how it is on Friday, how it is today. So the way that it goes is that as of Friday, Tampa Bay will be over in Cleveland for the 3-game series to face the Guardians, and Seattle will be taking on the Toronto Blue Jays in Toronto. So that's the American League. And then basically the winner of the Cleveland and Tampa Bay game will go on to face the Yankees, as the winner of Seattle and Toronto will go on to face the Astros in the ALDS. Now, jumping over to the American side, okay? Now, the Dodgers, obviously, with the 110 wins, they hold that comfortable number 1 seed. Gives them the first round bye, gives them the first round, gives them the home field advantage the entire series. But the Atlanta Braves are the 2nd team to win 100 games. Right? As of sweeping the New York Mets this past weekend, they sit at 159 on the season, 2 games above the New York Mets, followed by the 92 and 67 St. Louis Cardinals. Okay? Now, this is how it works between the East, because it's still up for grabs. And it may be concluded tonight with a Atlanta Braves victory, because if the Braves could beat Miami tonight, which, by the way, they went 3-4 against the Milwaukee Brewers this past weekend, that possibly knocked the Brewers out of the playoffs. If Atlanta wins 1 game this series, Atlanta will have the first round bye. All right, and this is the reason why last week, over this past weekend, the Mets and the Braves series was so dynamic and so intense. It was a playoff atmosphere. It was practically a playoff game, because now you're sitting at the Atlanta Braves with the first round bye, in the second first round bye in the wild card. All right, and now the Mets are going to be stuck. After leading the entire year, all right, playing back and forth, playing tag with the Braves back and forth, they're going to have to be facing they're going to be going on to be facing either the Padres or the Phillies in the wild card. So as the wild card looks right now, the New York Mets sit at 98-61, and they get to face 3 games against Washington, and they're going to have themselves a nice series, because they want a chance to get to 100 games, and this will be a first time in MLB history that two teams coming out of the NL East finished with 100 wins on their record in the season. The Padres, after losing last night yesterday to the White Sox, they clinched a wild card spot, all thanks to Milwaukee. You see, San Diego is the runner-up over Milwaukee if those two teams should have tied. And after Milwaukee losing to Miami yesterday, they knocked themselves out. They guaranteed the Padres a chance in. Now, here's where things now become interesting, and this is where things you could say, okay, this is settled now. Well, Philadelphia is the last wild card spot open right now. All right. And the Milwaukee's 2 games behind. And practically the way that it has to go, okay, just like we talked about the Braves needing to win 1 game to clinch the East, the Phillies just need 1 game to clinch the wild card. And you think about this, the Phillies have suppressants over both the Padres and the Brewers. So right now, if the Phillies could win at least 1 game, the Brewers are out of the playoffs. And now we're looking just for positioning, right? Because if the Brewers could win 1 game and have the series over Houston, and depending how the Padres play over against San Francisco this week, all right, we could look at Philadelphia going to New York instead of Philadelphia going to St. Louis. But as of today, if you're looking to start the playoffs today, Philadelphia begins their 3-game series in St. Louis, and the Padres begin their 3-game series against the New York Mets. And I think this is what's more troubling for the New York Mets, because they know that they're going to have a series, not only regardless of if they got to face the Padres or which they got to face the Phillies, which, right now, looking at their pitching rotation and their bullpen the last weekend against the Braves, the Mets are looking to scramble up something together, a little streak going up against Washington. But the winner of the Mets wild card series would go on to face the Dodgers, and I think that's going to be the ultimate challenge: is what team is going to face the Dodgers? I mean, we know that the Padres. Hey, I don't know which one would you like to be better? Would you like to go face the Braves, or would you like to go face the Dodgers? You see, in my opinion, I mean, but in order to get to that, in order to get to the Braves and Dodgers, you got to either go through the Cardinals or you got to go through the Mets. So realistically, who do you really want to choose in all of this? Right? Do you want to choose? Does San Diego want to maybe drop their 3 games and let Philadelphia surpass them and have a divisional series with Philadelphia and New York, and then San Diego could sit back, face the Cardinals, who they beat 2 years ago in the wild card? And then if they could beat the Cardinals, they could go on and play the Braves, or do they really want to challenge the Mets and then the Dodgers possibly being tired out and winded to face, one of to go to the NLCS. So, I mean, there's a lot that you kind of want to sit back and watch and see how it unfolds. But that is the Major League Baseball playoffs update for you guys. And, we'll keep you posted as things are finally taking a step back, winding down, coming into play. I'm entertained about this, and I'm happy. I'm excited. Tonight will be much more. If you're looking for a game to watch tonight, I will say Philadelphia against Houston or the Braves against the Marlins. That is my prediction. We're going to take a step away after hour number 1 is completed. Come back and talk about some NFL football games. More casual week this week. A couple of surprises, nothing too fancy. But we still have to talk about the lingering injuries over the season and how that's going to affect the rest of the season. We'll talk about that. TNC Sports Talk continues here 10:05 here on the Throw-In with Justin Knight, available on the TNC Sports Talk YouTube channel. I'd like to remind everybody that we are now on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spreaker, iHeartRadio, Spotify, almost anywhere you could possibly find or listen to audio or podcasts is at. We'd like to invite you over if you miss any episodes or any segments here from the Throw-In with Justin. Now, listen, the baseball games, I kind of feel that the baseball game's a little awkward to jump onto a podcast and play them. And trust me, trying to download that, upload that to the breaks and everything, I think is a little bit more difficult than doing a regular 2-hour podcast for you guys. So if you guys were looking over the weekend, I want to first give a big shout out. Thank you guys for participating and being involved in the games the last couple of nights for me. And I enjoy calling those games, and I apologize. It's only audio, and that's the only thing you get. You guys get to listen to. There's no visual. You guys can't see anything. But, I definitely do appreciate, we had Joseph Smith. So, listen. But if you guys are listening to this show Monday through Fridays, 9 to 11, at least we try to be 9 to 11, and we'll get the, hopefully, you guys could download us and listen to us on, at work, wherever you guys go. And it was just last week, I just finally got a chance to put us up on Apple Podcast. So I'm excited about that. All right, a busy week here in week number 4 of the NFL, just kind of looking through the news and everything that went through. Games that surprised us. We'll talk a little bit about that. But I want to talk about here, like I said, I'm trying to find some sort of some sort of energy out of the Bengals victory last Thursday against the Dolphins. And it's a little frustrating to me because the victory, I think, has been overpowered by Tua's injury. I apologize for messing up his last name. But and I think, coming into today, having the weekend to kind of sleep on it and just think about, his injury, it's still, I think it's very devastating. And I think that, I know that there's a lot of reports out there, and I don't want to, give you guys the wrong information. I don't know what's going on in the backfield. I heard something about the doctors got fired, and there should be a lot more happening in this situation. All right, this could have been prevented again after the Bills game, but there needs to be a nice hard look and not a slap on the wrist. And here's the other thing, I don't have a problem with Mike McDaniels, but the guy got banged up. I know he looks ready to play, but look, if you want to treat him like your son, sit him down, let him rest for a week. Maybe put him in situational plays if the team desperately need it. Because I was looking closer into the game, right, over the weekend. And I was looking at the number, I know the score said something different and the Bengals won by score, but I was looking through the scores over the weekend. I was talking about it with some people. And realistically, the numbers between both teams were identical to each other. So I just wonder if Tua never got hurt and he was able to play the full game, if the score was going to be a little bit different, or, if the Dolphins could have had a better chance winning if Teddy Bridgewater actually knew he was going to start the game and he was going to play the full longevity of the game. You see now, just looking at it, I heard that, watching parts of the game and you hear that, hey, Teddy Bridgewater, he always practices as if he's going to start the game. Well, guess what? You're not playing with their starters. You're not getting the first string snaps like Tua does. So no matter what, you're always, as a second string quarterback, you're always going to be looked at as a second string quarterback. And, I don't think there's ever a possibility, you look at the Bengals' performance. It really wasn't that well. It wasn't that entertaining. If they went up against the Cowboys again, they would have lost again. Don't get me wrong. They put up some good points, right? The Dolphins' defense hasn't been the greatest. So I thought we saw a better performance out of the offense, working on the long balls. But when it came down to the performances between, Tua and Bridgewater together, they are identical, if not better, than Joe Burrows. And you wonder if they were able to play the entirety of the game, if the Dolphins would have had a better chance at winning against the Bengals on Thursday Night Football. So, I mean, as much as I appreciate a win's a win at the end of the day, and this is going to help the Bengals season, it hurts. Listen, I like the competition in the East. All right. I like the Bills and the Dolphins and eventually the Patriots getting in there and getting after it. But, I'm just so frustrated still in the matter at hand of what was allowed to happen. But the Bengals, with their victory, they moved to 2-2, and we take a look at the division. Now, I came in here, there was a couple games I got wrong. All right, I didn't know. I was skeptic about how Josh Allen was going to handle a loss last week from the Dolphins, and they came into this game, and a lot of these games were close games. All right, Browns close 23-20. Now, I felt maybe the Browns should have won, beat the Falcons a little bit more at ease. So I'm a little surprised how, I'm not very, thrilled about to see the performance out of the Browns. But you know what? It's the Browns' performance that gives them the loss. And I guess, hey, I don't want to sit here and say I'm rooting for the Browns to win, but, I guess I'm happy that the Falcons beat the Browns. The Browns go 2-2. The Ravens fell to the Bills. I think 23-20. Great performance again. Lamar Jackson, highlights of the season. Just looking at the game. I didn't really get a chance to watch a lot of football thanks to calling the baseball game. So kind of missed out a little bit. Josh Allen, 19 for 36, 213 yards with one touchdown. The Ravens, Lamar Jackson, 20 for 29, 144. Wasn't a lot. He had another pretty impressive carry on the field. He went 11 carries, 73 yards, 6.6 yards average. Buffalo passing 201 to 134. Rushing was Ravens leading that 162 to 125. Very just one fumble for both teams combined. 3 total interceptions, 2 coming from Baltimore. That many sacks, about average. I think it was a pretty even game overall. And, a game that I think a lot of people enjoy watching, enjoy listening. So a good morning game. Did anyone catch the Vikings and Saints game in London? Vikings beat the Saints, moving to 3-1, 28-25. Just curious about that one. And then also the Pittsburgh Steelers losing to the Jets on Sunday, 24-20. Another close game, but Kenny Pickett got the start, and this is what I'm excited for. Now, well, no, I mean, it was Mitchell Trubisky who got the start. My mistake. He went 7 for 13 with 84 yards. Everything was on the round game. Najee Harris, 18 carries, 74 yards, averaging about 4.5. So, how did that happen? I'm assuming that Okay, so we looked at like the Pittsburgh Steelers put in Kenny Pickett, and after a kind of a bad start for the scoring 2 touchdowns. So okay, so Kenny Pickett did come in, and they did play the I'm just looking at this. I apologize, you guys. For the Steelers, their coming up game is against the Bills, and I think they have a bye on week 6. That's how it looks like. When they face Tampa Bay. Week 6. All right. So it looks like Kenny Pickett did come into the game. That's what I was interested in learning into. So we'll take a look at the team. And no, I don't want to do into that. Come on. Let's go look into the game day. Pickett debuted, including 2 rushing touchdowns, but did that make up for the other defensive list? Okay, so listen, the Steelers lost a couple of touchdowns by Pickett, average start, and probably having, getting the jitterbugs out. I think a lot of people are excited overall to see Pickett, especially Steeler fans. That's the whole reason why you drafted him in first overall. But it just wasn't enough to get done. And this place, you gotta have some room for some misconceptions, right? You have to have some room for to be able to evolve and to develop, especially a young quarterback like Pickett. And we knew that eventually, hey, Pickett was going to come into the game. Now, listen, a 1-2 Steelers team comes into game number, week number 4, and they go on to face the Jets, and maybe not a bad scenario to at least try Pickett out. I mean, Mitchell Trubisky has been okay. I mean, the only thing that Mitchell Trubisky has really had to face, I think he even got a lock away, the game for week 1 of the season where they even should have lost to the Bengals. So it's going to be, we're going to, I think the transition of Pickett is now going to come into play. I think now we're going to see a little bit more of the entirety of, what Pickett has to offer. I think a lot of people are going to need to kind of, be patient with Kenny Pickett here on this case. Just looking at some things here. Kind of wanted to look into a little bit of highlights from Pickett overall. Zach Wilson came back 18 for 36, 252 with 1 touchdown as well. And looking at Pickett, I was just watching these highlights for the first time. Looked very, it looks like he has a lot of agility, a lot of energy, young kid. Looks fresh in the pocket. Over the years with Pittsburgh, you've seen the difference with how slow Ben Roethlisberger has moved and Mitchell Trubisky, and Pickett coming out, just having that, just that new fresh sense of legs. So, but yeah, hey, the entire AFC North lost. Kind of gives the Bengals a little bit more fight. So there's 3 teams that are 2-2, and the Steelers are 1-3, sitting at last place in their division. Hey, there was a couple of questions I asked last weekend, so we're gonna take a break. We'll come back. We'll take an overview of the entire division, of entire NFL week number 4, as we get you ready for Monday Night Football tonight between the Rams and the 49ers. So stick tuned. More to come, taking you guys up until 11 on a Monday here on the TNC Sports Talk YouTube channel. Alrighty, welcome back everyone here, 10:25. right here on a Monday on the TNC Sports Talk YouTube channel. Hey, week number 4 is coming up to the conclusion here. Tonight's football game between the Los Angeles Rams and the San Francisco 49ers on ESPN kicks off tonight. And I'm excited about this game. And the reason why I'm excited about this game is probably due to the simple fact because the Rams are playing. Okay. Listen, couple weeks into the season, Trey Lance gets hurt. They've had to change the entire schemes all over again and face those and have Jimmy Garoppolo back out there. And I've talked to you guys about that. It was a little bittersweet when Jimmy Garoppolo got the start for the 49ers with Trey Lance got out for injury, got hurt for the injury there. So, there's a lot of things that I'm pretty satisfied with Jimmy G getting that nod for the, getting the nod to be facing, to be getting the start. He'll do it in San Francisco. I think that Jimmy G, listen, Garoppolo, this is that moment. I've told you guys this when he finally gets the nod that, hey, this is the moment where if you want to be that starting quarterback, you want that big contract ascension, whether it's with the 49ers, hey, you went in last season. Garoppolo went in last season, took the 49ers to the playoffs, and the 49ers said, hey, listen, I appreciate what you've done here, but you're overlooked here in the NFL. We're going to stick with Lance. But if you can't find another team to go to, that's fine. Come back and you can play as a backup quarterback. All right? The 49ers did not believe in Jimmy Garoppolo whatsoever. Right? That wasn't the case. So now Jimmy G has something to prove, does he not? He has something to prove. He didn't get it done last week. He's going to get a chance to do it this week. He should have done it last week. He should have beat the Broncos. Didn't happen. So Jimmy Garoppolo goes into tonight's game, divisional game, against the 49ers. Hey, you've had a lot of success against the Rams. Against the Rams. Remember last year where the entire 49er fan base went down to LA in week 17 to beat the Rams to get themselves into the playoffs? I know 49ers have what it takes to win, or with Jimmy Garoppolo, I am confident with the 49ers being a wild card, at least contenders. But it's going to probably take a couple of weeks because throughout the offseason, throughout preseason, while the 49ers were trying to get ready for the season, Jimmy Garoppolo was out there looking for a team to play on. And yeah, there's a lot of players that can be perfectly fine not playing a single snap. I get that. But Jimmy Garoppolo didn't just miss the preseason. He missed the first 2 weeks practically of the regular season. So yeah, don't give him too much heat for losing against the Broncos at Mile High Stadium last week. This is a chance for Garoppolo tonight, after a week under his belt in this season. This is a chance for Garoppolo to finally show the 49ers just how good he is, why they should have signed him to begin with. And just maybe, okay, I'm going to say this, just maybe, if the 49ers could pick up a victory over the Rams, both teams will be 2-2 on the season. Oh. Talking about Garoppolo, because he's one of those quarterbacks, and there's a lot of quarterback issues, all right? An impressive victory coming out of the Dallas Cowboys, and I heard Shannon and Skip back on a Friday, and it really resonated in my brain, and talking about two guys that really know it's not just about knowing their stuff, but, when it comes down to listening to podcasts, you always want to listen to a podcast that can speak right to you. So we talked about Shannon and Skip. All right, I was listening to the podcast, and they're going back and forth against the Cowboys. Well, this is, and they made a valid point. All right, there's a couple of quarterbacks that I came on here on Friday morning and I said, hey, listen, if these quarterbacks do not win, if these quarterbacks are still struggling, then there's going to be some issues early on in the season with these quarterbacks and what they're going to have to make. Right? Take a look at Baker Mayfield, for example, not playing well with the Panthers. They lost 26-16 against the Cardinals yesterday. And the first thing that now you're seeing articles coming out there saying that Panthers are not afraid to bench Baker Mayfield. Where I'm not. Listen, this was a guy I gave my all-out heart to, giving him that second chance. He's utterly failed in Carolina. Maybe Carolina is just not the team for him. But you know what? Maybe it got me thinking, okay, hold on. Carolina is 1-3. They lost against the Browns. They just lost against the Cardinals. They haven't really won any exciting games. You haven't really seen anything amazing out of Baker Mayfield. So just maybe, Baker Mayfield's not the quarterback for Carolina. Or and I'll do you one better. Just maybe Baker Mayfield wasn't that great of a quarterback either. He wasn't the quarterback that led the Browns to the playoffs. He wasn't the quarterback that played injured last season and still dominated. So maybe it's time to throw your hands up and say, well, I mean, what else do you do with Baker Mayfield? All right, this is a division that you have the opportunity to capture in the South. All right, Jameis Winston just lost in London yesterday. If you have not paying attention, Falcons finally won a game. They're looking probably about a 500 football team. And Tampa Bay, Tom Brady just lost another game at home. And that's given us to the Kansas City Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes. But even Patrick Mahomes lost to the Colts last week. Isn't that 2 losses, 2 defeats from back-to-back for Tom Brady? One against the Packers and one against the Chiefs. But everyone's not worried about Tom Brady. Not worried about that 45-year-old guy that has, because you still never bet against him, right? He loses. Tom Brady loses to the Chiefs, loses to the Packers. Right? You think about the only other top team in the AFC is the Los Angeles Rams. Tom Brady loses to the Packers, to Aaron Rodgers, to a team that doesn't have the right receivers. He also loses to Patrick Mahomes, who lost against the Colts last week. And everyone says, hey, stay calm with Tom Brady. He's 45 years old. He gets every Wednesday off. He has to deal with family issues. Trust me, come November, come December, when it's time to play, he'll play. Maybe he has to take NFL with a different approach. But here's the quarterbacks I am worried about. All right, we told you about Baker Mayfield. I'm giving up on Baker Mayfield. What about everything going on? I mean, the big question out of AFC North right now is what's going on with Pittsburgh and their quarterback. Are you really sitting here with, I mean, I wouldn't say let's hit the panic button, all right? It's only first week, all right? We knew the chance of Kenny Pickett was coming again. And yeah, it was a loss, and you would have wanted to win. I mean, I think winning is more, is winning right now more important for Pittsburgh over than establishing who's your future quarterback. I mean, Kenny Pickett didn't have a winning game yesterday, but he had a solid game, rushing in for 2 touchdowns, kept the Steelers alive. I don't think there's nothing wrong with Mitchell Trubisky. I think he's a great backup quarterback that could come in and that could play from time to time. I truly believe that. But for me, Mitchell Trubisky, that's all he is. He's not a starting quarterback. He's not a franchise quarterback. He's not someone I look for long term. Now, does he fit Pittsburgh's football? Probably yes. Is he a good veteran? I say he's a decent veteran. But Mitchell Trubisky is a player who is a backup quarterback. That's why he's been in different franchises over the last few years. And Kenny Pickett is that potential next start. But the only way that you're going to know if Pickett works out for the franchise is if you put him out there. Right? You got to put Pickett out there. So that's what they did last week. So I'm a little bit worried about Pittsburgh's quarterback position. And then let's talk about our last one, which I think is a positive thing out of all talk and all negative on this show. And I got to throw out there Cooper Rush. I mean, let's talk about how the Cowboys beat the Washington Commanders 25-10 yesterday. Let's talk about and I got no stats on here right now, but let's talk about another victory. 4 consecutive wins for Cooper Rush. Let's go. Come on. You got to get excited for Dallas Cowboy fans. Now the bigger question is, and we'll have this conversation all week long, is what quarterback comes out of into week 5? Because Dak Prescott is planning on expecting to return. But do you really want Dak Prescott out there when you have Cooper Rush solid? And man, this is what I think this is a new excitement for the Dallas Cowboys right now. And I'll tell you why. It's because you have this quarterback, you have this backup quarterback that you know can play football at the NFL level. That's one thing. That is one thing that NFL teams don't have a lot of, is backup quarterbacks that you know can execute and win you football games. So when you see Cooper Rush for the Cowboys, and if he would have lost against the Commanders yesterday, I would have simply said, hey, if Prescott's ready, throw Prescott out there. Dak Prescott is ready to play football, throw him out there next week against the Rams. But now you go into LA, and now you're scratching your heads trying to figure out, all right, what's next? Do we stick with our backup quarterback, or do you go with Dak Prescott, who's returning? Now, in my opinion, I'm going to say this on a Monday, is that don't rush Prescott back. There's players on the Cowboys that are already saying, don't rush Prescott. Let him be healthy. Let him take another week off. If he doesn't have to play in these big games yet and put his body on the line, it helps the team out for middle of November, December when they need him. Let Rush go, because along what you're doing for Rush is that you're giving Rush the experience. You're giving him the reps at quarterback, and so that if something happens to Prescott in the middle of the season, you guys are safe. Right? That's the key thing, is being safe. So the 3 quarterbacks coming into week number 4 we had issues with. And now we're looking pretty good. I was going to take a break, but I kind of want to come back. I really want to just talk about these teams, get you a little bit into college football around town. I will save some high school football for tomorrow's conversation. But before our last break, because when we come back from break, I want to talk about Monday Night Raw, what's to come. But in order to get to that, so what I want to do here is, before we cut to break, is talk about some college football. Friday night, I've been diving more into some of these games. All right. And you had Ohio State over in Rutgers. We told you this when I could have blindly told you that Ohio State was going to win by at least 20 points, and they won by 30, 40-10. But the reason why I say that they won, not because they're ranked number 3, it's because Rutgers doesn't have a quarterback at hand. And I'm sure, whoever won the coin toss would have won. Like I mentioned, I don't watch a lot of football this weekend because I was dead set into calling the Mets and the Braves series on Saturday and Sunday. So Ohio State won 40-10, and it was about a 50-50. Cincinnati goes on and takes care of business against Tulsa, and I think one thing I'm upset about Cincinnati's season so far. Yeah, they're on a winning record. Yeah, they're doing well in NCAA football. They got off to a slow start, but they're catching back up. But the one thing that I'm really devastated is that they're not ranked. They're not ranked. Matter of fact, and I actually apologize. They weren't ranked last week. Now they're ranked number 24, and it took them 5 weeks into the season to become ranked. You think of a team that was in the Final Four last year in the CFP, ranked at the bottom 25, and then because they lost one, they were out of the AP poll, and now they finally got back into it. Cincinnati is going to have to play lights out, and they're not getting back into another CFP game anytime soon. At least not until they convert over to the 12-team playoff bracket. And I'll tell you, I was a little disappointed in Kentucky on Saturday, losing to Ole Miss. I mean, listen, a lot of these games were good games. It was 40-10 Ohio, 31-21 from Cincinnati, kind of expected. The game that I was thinking about, that I was really excited about tuning into or wanting to follow, was Kentucky and Ole Miss, 7-14. 22-19. Is that bad of a game? No. But see, last year, I think we're so used to seeing last year Cincinnati with such great success and being in the top 10, being in the top 5, top 4, going to the CFP last year. You kind of want a taste of that again, right? I think you, as fans in Cincinnati, Northern Kentucky, you kind of really urge to get that taste in. I know that when the season ended last year, right, and Cincinnati went to CFP, I know Kentucky Wildcat fans were probably rooting for Cincinnati Bearcats to win. Right? And we knew that they weren't going to win, but that was the given fact of the matter. Kentucky drops down to number 13. Ole Miss jumps up to number 9. So we see Ole Miss at number 9 now. And the last but not least, Boston College goes on to win 34-33 against Louisville. And a couple of great games there. Very pleased. As we still look in the top 10 here before break, Alabama's number 1, Georgia's number 2. Ohio State still sits at number 3, with Michigan at number 4. Clemson's number 5. Southern USC is number 6. Oklahoma State's number 7. Tennessee's number 8. Number 9 is Ole Miss, and then Penn State. Couple teams looking out for UCLA, number 19. I think UCLA was the team that they beat Washington back on Friday night. That was a good game. Hey, listen, we don't have time to talk about high school football, but here's what I'll tell you next week, tomorrow morning. Steve Barber from Armchair Booking Podcast, and if you haven't got a chance to tune into the podcast, I'd highly recommend it. But Steve Barber pointed something out on Facebook the other day. He came home on Friday night, and he was like, hey, listen, he posted an image of Western Brown on the Western Brown taking on Clinton Massey on television. And I'm like, when was the last time I saw a high school football game on television that was local? Normally when I see a high school football game on ESPN, that's coming out of a game from Texas. Some high school football game in Texas. So I was very impressed. So I'm still working on doing some of the homework in last week's high school football games. We'll work on that tonight, and I'll give you an update tomorrow in tomorrow's program. But let's take our last break, all right? Because when we come back, I want to get you guys ready for Extreme Rules. Monday Night Raw tonight, Extreme Rules coming up this weekend, much more. Let's finish off the second hour. Let's finish off the throw-in with the heat start on a Monday. Thank you guys for tuning in, taking you guys up until 11. Stay tuned. We'll be right back here on the CNC Sports Talk YouTube channel. TNC Sports Talk would like to give a big shout out to Epidemic Sound. Proud music to be displayed right here on the throw-in in every episode of the TNC Sports Talk YouTube channel. Discover your world-class artists, composers, and bands, find the perfect soundtrack, and give your social media accounts the music they deserve. Check out Epidemic Sound for more information and get your royalty-free music today. All right. Wrapping up a show on a Monday. And man, I'm ready to get heated. Monday Night Raw is coming to you tonight. We are just a few days away from Extreme Rules. All right, this weekend, October 8th, Extreme Rules comes up. And I am, I'm excited. And I think I'm more excited because there are actual stipulations to the show, something that we haven't seen last year. You got strap matches, pit fights, the 6-man tag, a ladder match, Extreme Rules match. Isn't that what the purpose of a Extreme Rules Premium Live pay-per-view event, whatever you want to call it, supposed to be? Want to give out condolences to the friends and families as we remember and take the time to remember Antonio Inoki, who passed away over the weekend, and the WWE Hall of Famer. So we wish the friends and family of Antonio Inoki the best wishes, be in our prayers. Hopefully everyone is doing well. All right, Monday Night Raw is tonight, and I'll save my conversations for SmackDown tomorrow, where we could dive into WWE a little bit more. All right, but we're in October, and the road to the end of the year, I think, is another exciting moment because you got Extreme Rules coming up here in a couple of days, followed by Crown Jewel, and then Survivor Series, and that wipes out the end of the year for the pay-per-views, for the premium lines for WWE. And it's been an easy, steady premium live event for the last couple of months throughout the entire year, and I think now there's actually a reason to sit down and want to watch these matches that are being displayed. And we knew how devastating it was last year not to have a single, just even one stipulation to a pay-per-view called Extreme Rules. And to this week and this year, we're going to have something completely opposite. All right. Tonight, we're going to have Bianca Belair and Bayley sit down and sign a contract. Okay. Exclaiming, hey, this is going to be a ladder match for the Raw Women's Championship. And my question is that do you believe that Bianca's title run is over with Damage Control winning women's tag team gold? Does Bayley have enough what it takes in her, first match in a pay-per-view since being injured all year? Does she have enough what it takes to be Raw Women's Champion? Okay. My quick take on that, and I think this is simple, is that Damage Control with Bayley is the same thing like Toxic Attraction and Mandy Rose down in NXT. I'm kind of lingering into that's what it's going to be like, because you just don't put women tag team title on Damage Control being alongside Bayley without giving it to one of the titles to Bayley. And since Ronda and Liv is off on SmackDown doing her own thing, maybe that's something, and I really like this Bayley and Bianca feud. I don't know about you, but I really like it. I don't know if this is going to happen tonight at Extreme Rules, at Crown Jewel. I mean, maybe you'll see it at Survivor Series, but eventually you will be seeing, most likely, I'm confident you'll be seeing Bayley win one of the women's championships. Also, we're going to see Matt Riddle and Seth freaking Rollins come face to face this Monday, right before they hit a fight pit. And listen, at the beginning of this feud, I said that this feud was a little bit of a dud. All right, we saw a match or two. They dragged this out a little bit, but now they kind of re-sparked it being in a fight pit. And the last time I saw a good fight pit match was probably, like a nice brawl was between Tommaso Ciampa and Timothy Thatcher. So if this is anything like that, I'm excited. I'm extremely excited to sit down and watch this match this coming up weekend. Braun Strowman was set to teach Chad Gable a lesson after facing Otis last week. And I can sit here and tell you that I'm disappointed in Braun Strowman's return. Not because of Braun Strowman, probably because of the WWE creative team. I don't know if there's enough that they have ready for Roman Reigns, for Braun Strowman. When you have Roman Reigns and the Bloodline off doing their own thing, I don't think they're ready for Braun Strowman to step in play. So, but Braun Strowman set to take on Chad Gable tonight. And then once again, the Judgment Day is looking to be shut down by Rey Mysterio and AJ Styles as we come prepared this weekend. All right. And an I Quit match between Edge and Finn Balor. All right. Rey Mysterio and AJ Styles looking to face the Judgment Day after AJ Styles almost got destroyed by the Judgment Day. I think Judgment Day was feeling a little too soft last week with AJ Styles. In a sense, I don't want to see another neck injury because didn't we see, the same thing happen when Edge took out AJ Styles with the chair that way, right before their match earlier this year? So I don't want to see the same thing happen to AJ Styles again, right? But I just don't know. They've been lingering, all right? It's been the Judgment Day taking on these veterans. And I say, and it's really what it is. It's a young group of men. At least when I say young, I'm talking about Dominic Mysterio, Damian Priest, Rhea Ripley. All right, they're going on taking on Edge. They're taking on Rey Mysterio. They're taking on AJ Styles. All veterans, all future Hall of Famers in the respected generation. But I think that the Judgment Day, and I'm very surprised how the Judgment Day has been so relevant without any titles. Right? They're not as relevant as the Bloodline. Let's give you that. But they're as relevant as they're going to be on Monday Night Raw, as facing Rey Mysterio, as facing, AJ Styles, and as facing Edge. And I think, the creativeness. Now, just a few weeks ago, we saw Dominic turn, right? Just a few weeks ago, we saw Dominic turn, and now he's on the verge with the Judgment Day. And I think, in my opinion, we have to see that continue. We need to see either more members or new challengers coming up here soon before they kind of fall off the path. But here's what I'm thinking to end off the show for my last thoughts here. I love to see Styles and Edge in War Games. How much do you think that would do and elevate a career like a Damian Priest, a Finn Balor, or even a Dominic Mysterio? And here's better yet, if the WWE, if AJ, Edge, and Rey can find a opponent, a female, why don't you allow Rhea Ripley to compete in War Games? So, all right, that's all we got for this show today. Thank you guys for tuning in and listening. We'll be back again tomorrow. Don't miss out. 9 to 11, The Throwing with Justin here on the TNC Sports Talk YouTube channel. You guys take care. Enjoy the rest of your Monday.